All right, gang, I've got an exciting fragrance to talk to you about today. It's from the house of Loumari, and it's the latest fragrance created by Julien Rasquinet. It's called Radanfor. Loumari went silent for a little bit. They just decided to rebrand. They redid their bottles, and they launched last year with the fragrance Aomak, which I reviewed for you guys. It's a Christian Provenzano fragrance. Later in the year, they also launched with another Julien Rasquinet creation called Amber Malatya. Both pretty darn good fragrances, but I have to be honest, this new one is the best of the three. So good. You're going to want to stick around to find out all about this new release from the house of Loumari. Now, I'm a fan of the house. I think I'm probably one of the first to talk about the brand on the house. Instantly, with the initial launch of the brand and their fragrances, my favorite fragrance from that initial launch was Almeria. We even featured it in a Scent Club kit. After the initial launch of those, I think there were 5 fragrances, they launched Porthole. That was also a love. Really awesome scent. I fell quite in love with it. And it's also something that I've turned on to a lot of folks. They love it as well. And then we actually featured Porthole in a Scent Club kit as well. And at that time, I think our kit sold out. People wanted a bottle of Porthole. Loumari was running out. Then they released a bunch more after, having no stock. And then they ran out again. And then that's when they went silent and then started rebranding their house. And they launched with Aomak and Amber Malatya. But honestly, guys, between Aomak and Amber Malatya, Radanfor is so awesome, so good. Let me tell you all about it. So this is a 2026 launch. Julien Rasquinet is the perfumer for it. I would call this an amber woody, amber spicy style of fragrance. The price currently, it's only sold on the Loumari website. There is a discount code also, by the way. I have it linked in the info box. It's currently selling for 280 euros. And I would call this a unisex offering. I think it's really unisex, slight bit masculine leaning, but I find it to be right down the middle of the spectrum. So it's like slight bit masculine leaning, but very unisex. So it features notes of pink pepper, cardamom, black pepper for top notes. In the heart, we've got juniper, olibanum, iris, and orange blossom or fleur d'oranger. And then in the base notes, we've got myrrh, musk, and vanilla. So when I first smelled the fragrance, I thought instantly, wow, this is the grown-up baby cat. This is the super refined baby cat. This is like baby cat, but then a lot more. First of all, to me, Radanfor is not as sharp and intense with the spiciness as baby cat is. And the reason I'm using that fragrance to describe this, for you to understand the style, it's spices. We've got the pink pepper and black pepper that's featured in Baby Cat. It's the vanilla. We've got that here, and it's also present in Baby Cat. And then you've got the Olibanum, which is frankincense. So it's a resin, it's an incense kind of note, which is also prominent in Radanfor. So you've got the peppery spices, you've got the vanilla, and you've also got the Olibanum, which is sort of kind of reminding me of Baby Cat there, but it kind of stops there. What changes this fragrance and makes it a bit more, there's major elegance about it, and it doesn't have that sharpness that Baby Cat has, but it does remind me of it. And the differences are the iris that's in here and the fleur d'oranger, the orange blossom. And this is what makes this fragrance super amazing. Again, I'm a big fan of Baby Cat, and having it remind me of that fragrance, but also wear completely different is awesome. Because I love vanilla, and I would categorize this as a ambery vanilla or a spicy vanilla. Obviously, it's a very ambery, woody experience, but there's something very magical about this, and the way the iris and the fleur d'oranger or the orange blossom are working together is giving the fragrance an elevation from what I'm so familiar with wearing Baby Cat. It's similar, but then different. The other thing that this fragrance also reminds me of, the idea of, not the smell, is Reflection Man from Amouage. I think Reflection Man also has the fleur d'oranger. I believe it also has jasmine, but the powderiness along with the fleur d'oranger and the iris does remind me of that a little bit. I'm not saying it's identical, as I said, but somehow it does give me some vibes of Reflection Man. But for sure, it starts off quite spicy. The peppery spiciness is quite prominent here. It does kind of remind a little bit of the spicy, peppery smokiness of the Olibanum, which is in the heart. And for me, the magic is the iris and the Fleur d'Oranger with the resinous notes of the myrrh and the musk and the vanilla that's in the base here. Yeah, we do have a lot of myrrh in this as well. Maybe it's contributing to the sweetness, but I wouldn't say this is super duper sweet. I think the sweetness, maybe just a little bit more sweet in comparison to the baby cat. I keep looking at the bottle of the baby cat right across from me. That's why I'm kind of thinking, yes, it does remind me of it. This is a bit more resinous. It's also a bit more ambery, whereas what's missing in Radanfor is the leather, because there's leather in baby cat, which is not here. But I'm really loving the way the iris and the Fleur d'Oranger mixing with the idea of baby cat is wearing here. I think this is super, super awesome. I enjoyed Amber Malatya, which was also created by Julien Rasquinet, but this one is a lot more enjoyable for me. One thing I'll also want to mention here with this fragrance, there is a slight bit Fougère-like quality, and I don't know where I'm getting that. Is it the Juniper? I don't have any lavender here. I don't have any tonka to give you like a Fougère styling, but something about that Fleur d'Oranger, maybe the fact that it's reminding me of Reflection Man, gives me some Fougère or barbershop vibes, which is quite awesome. I wouldn't necessarily call this like a replacement for something like Fougère Royale, but it gives me some hints of something Fougère-like, which is also an extra added bonus or benefit for the fragrance. It's a great scent, by the way. Really, really love this one. Wearing it quite a bit. I can't get enough of it, and it's become my favorite next to Loumari's Porthole. I think Radanfor is competing with Porthole. Honestly, I have to be honest about that. But yeah, when you first spray it, you've got the spices, but I think the Olibanum in the heart is kind of creeping in to kind of like mix with the spicy pepperiness of the black pepper and pink pepper. So they're mixing in nicely. And at this time also, the iris is, coming on and giving its powdery effect. And the Fleur d'Oranger is giving it brightness. Whereas Baby Cat to me was much darker. And the fact that this has the iris and the orange blossom, it acts and wears a lot brighter and also a lot more refined and a lot more elegant. There's certainly a roughness about Baby Cat, which isn't bad. I love Baby Cat, don't get me wrong. And I keep referencing Baby Cat because this does remind me of it, but then it changes because of the powdery iris and Fleur d'Oranger. And those are the notes that are brightening it up. If they were not here in this fragrance, I think the fragrance would be a lot more similar to Baby Cat and a lot darker experience. I think all you would need is to add a little bit of leather to this and remove the iris and the Fleur d'Oranger or the orange blossom, and you'd have something closer to smelling like Baby Cat. But it's that really interesting reminder of Fougère. There's something like a Fougère-like quality, more like an amber Fougère, because this is a quite ambery experience that makes it kind of like, you smell it and you're like thinking, makes you think like, where have I smelled this? How or what fragrance does it remind me of? So I've figured out Reflection Man and I figured out Baby Cat. Maybe I can also say a little bit of Fleur de Mal from Jean-Paul Gaultier, because Fleur de Mal to me was like a Fougère style fragrance, but overdosed with a lot of orange blossom. And this has the orange blossom in it. Maybe it reminds me a little bit of that fragrance too. Or, a combination of all these fragrances. But honestly, guys, this is a solid offering from Loumari. It could replace Porthole for me. The negative for this, it's not as big as Porthole is. And Porthole is more of a freshie, and it wears a bit more intense. I wanted something a bit more like that with this, but I think the fact that I find it to be super elegant and super refined, I think it's good in the way it is. But I felt like Porthole was a bit bigger as a wearing experience. But as a smell, this is top notch. You got to get your nose on this ASAP if you haven't yet. Let me know if you have. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. Add a comment below. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other fragrances. We're going to go back to last year, the middle of last year, when they relaunched with Aomak. And this is a fragrance by Christian Provenzano. It's a super crisp, cold, ice cold aromatic citrus fragrance. And if you haven't got your nose on this one and you enjoy these kind of freshies, but crisp and metallic and sharp and cold and icy, you got to try it. There's definitely a sharpness there. It's definitely present. It's crisp. It's a bit peppery, spicy, for sure very aromatic, and ice cold citrusy. So that's Aomak. Are you guys familiar with Aomak? Were you able to sample it? On the other hand, Amber Malatya also launched last year. It launched late last year, also created by Julien Rasquinet. So I guess now they have two fragrances created by Julien Rasquinet. And for me, between the two, Radanfor is the one I enjoy more. But going back to Aomak, I'm smelling the smell in the air, and there's quite a bit of soapiness in it as well. And I think it's a given with the kind of notes they're using. But Amber Malatya is warm, ambery, and also fruity. Like there's a tart fruitiness in it, and that's coming from the apricots that are in here. To me, it first reminded me of mangoes. It's for sure apricots. And of course, Julien has done a mango focused fragrance. It's called Carioca Heart. And this doesn't remind me of it, but then it kind of reminds me of mangoes. And then I think about that fragrance. But there's definitely a distinction between the fruitiness of the mangoes and apricots. So that's why this is definitely more on the mango side. Apricot side, whereas it hints at mangoes a little bit. But it's very ambery, it's spicy, it's a bit sweet, but not super sweet. Not a gourmand whatsoever, just a fruity amber is what Amber Malatya is all about. And then let's talk about Porthole. If you haven't noticed with Porthole, they do have that nice design on the bottle, whereas the rest of the bottles don't have that. Whoops. But the Porthole definitely has the Porthole on the bottle. But Porthole is really one of the best fragrances from this house. I fell in love with it instantly because I love the combination. It's pineapple, it's salt or sea salt, and it's caramel, it's musky notes. It's created by Fleur perfumers. So you've got the DNA there, and it's a really long-lasting experience. Perfect for every day. And I know somebody that wears it, and he loves this fragrance. And I've turned on many people to this one, and it's definitely one of the solid ones. Launched earlier in the 2020s. It launched in 2022, I think. Yeah. Anyway, that's Porthole. Let me know if you're a fan of it. Let me know if you discovered it through one of our Scent Club kits. And then last but not least, Almeria is also really super solid. It's spicy, woody, tobacco, almond, musky, but I find this DNA super sexy. And I think the brand Loumari was working with Fleur perfumers up until when they did the rebranding. And I think now they're working with CPL Aromas, because we've got Christian Provenzano from CPL Aromas here for Aomak. And then, of course, Julien Rasquinet is also with CPL Aromas, and he's done Amber Malatya and Radanfor. But you guys have to get your nose on Radanfor. It's super awesome. Really one of the best from the house. It's competing with Porthole, by the way. Those two are definitely the tops for me. And I can't stop wearing this one. And I'm leaving on a trip soon. Do I take this heavy bottle with me? I really love it. And for me, I just realized it's reminding me a little bit of Fleur de Mal. I think it's the orange blossom in this that reminds me of Fleur de Mal. And Fleur de Mal was the evolution of Le Mal from Jean-Paul Gaultier. And it was also sort of like a Fougère style fragrance. That's what it's reminding me of here. Now it clicked. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Let me know your thoughts on Radanfor. Does it sound great to you? Are you a fan of the fragrances of Loumari? Are you a fan of Porthole, Almeria, or maybe Amber Malatya and Aomak? Do add a comment below. Let me find out. But as I said, definitely check out Radanfor. I have it linked in the info box. It is 280 euros for 100 ml, and there is a discount code in the info box as well. Thanks so much for watching. As I said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do subscribe. Click the bell icon and give a thumbs up for this video so it helps with the algorithm. See you guys later. Bye-bye.